everybody. Welcome back to the Routine Podcast.
Gymnastics Conversations.
I'm Chelsea.
And I'm Chelsea's mom, Diana.
And we're back for episode 50.
Yay, we made it to 50.
Woohoo!
And we happened to make it to 50 after conference championships.
Yeah, couldn't have planned it better.
No, and so for me, lots of things to celebrate. Ha ha ha.
Uh-oh. Everybody knows why mom's saying that. She had a great weekend.
I sure did. I absolutely had a great weekend.
Yes. But we'll get there. Any updates that you'd like to share, Mom?
Other than LSU winning?
Yes, other than LSU winning.
Let's see. Update. I think it's been beautiful here, beautiful weather. Spring is slowly but surely trying to come.
I can't believe it's already almost April.
Yeah, and it's been so nice not having to travel.
Yeah. I can't believe season's almost over. Honestly, this season went by so quickly.
It really did. I mean, I think that's the one thing about doing the podcast. It does make the weeks go by really fast because we're always thinking ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We're editing ahead, thinking ahead, recording ahead, interviewing ahead. And so before we know it, we're here at Nationals.
And I feel like we literally just recorded like our first episode like last month, you know?
Yeah, I do.
Our welcome back episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, Chelsea, I did buy the tickets to Dallas. So we're going.
Yay! We're going.
I got a hotel. Hopefully you'll like it. I know you get to be pretty picky when it comes to hotels, but
Mom, you are picky.
Well, you know what was funny this time? I was thinking that I've got to get one that has the right acoustics for us to be able to record.
No echoing.
Yeah, and I don't know how I can tell that online. So hopefully we did okay.
I'm sure it's fine. So to recap last week's episode, we traveled to Towson where they had a 5-team meet. It was also their senior meet. And we also got the chance to meet Jason and Mary Fredericks in person for the first time.
No, that's not the first time. We met them in Nationals last year.
Oh, yeah. Well, we saw them from afar at Nationals.
We waved and said, "Hi, Mary. Hi, Jason."
And we gave them a bag.
We didn't give them a hug then? Because I always give people hugs.
Right? It seems like we are cool. But that was our first time being face to face.
Wow. Well, that was fun.
And actually, Dave tweeted us, quoting something that I said in the last episode. Nothing beats just being able to go home after the meets.
Yeah, this is at Dave Pendry's. Yep. Hi, Dave. We haven't talked to Dave in a while.
And it's so true. I know you were happy to be home after the meet. And so was I.
I was. And I was actually happy that you went home after the meet, too.
Do you guys like mom's mom joke? She's so funny, right, guys?
I thought it was pretty good. I love you, daughter, but I was, a little separation was good. I know we have to have our separations before Nationals, right? I know because then we're with each other and we have to be at our best because we have to record, we have to interview, we've got to edit, we've got to record, we've got to interview, we have to edit. So we spend a lot of time with each other at Nationals. Plus, it's intense because we actually have to watch the meet and we have, things we want to happen at the meet. So it's pretty intense time for us.
Yeah, it gets really, really real. Are we going to be doing 3 episodes for Nationals, Mom?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Don't you
no
think?
question about it?
Well, yeah, I was very prepared to do it this last time, too. If you remember, you're the one that was dozing off.
I wonder if we still have the raw audio from the first
we
time
should
that we
play
tried
it.
to record. Literally, we started the episode we probably got 3 minutes into it and I just crumbled. I put my head down on the table. What did I say? Can we do this tomorrow? Or were you just
No, you did.
What did I say?
No, actually, you were actually talking as if you were saying what you wanted to say. And then in mid-sentence, you're like, I can't do this. I'm going to bed. And then you just put your head down on the table. And that was it.
Oh my gosh. Was that after Yeah, I think that was after finals.
It was. And I remember looking at you, and it was really hard because as your mother, it was like, oh, she's tired. I need to let her go to sleep. But as your co-host, it's like, come on, get up.
Get it together.
We are on. But I think I let you sleep.
I was just
I don't think I had a choice, actually. You were just like done.
Yeah, I couldn't. What UCLA put me through at nationals last year, like my heart, my brain just couldn't take anymore, honestly.
You and who knows how many other people.
But it was all good. So
it was all good.
For those of you who are new listeners, we record on our usual Thursday, the day before nationals. We also record the first day after nationals. And then we also upload on Sunday after the Final Four.
And when Chelsea says record, she means record and edit, right? Record, edit, and upload. So in a matter of 3 days, there are 3 or 4 episodes that you hear from us. Because we really think that, the whole point of this is that you're basically with us and, what we're going through, the excitement that we're going through, the issues. You're there with us as it's happening. And so to do that, we want to make it as timely and as real as we possibly can. So that's why we do this.
Yeah.
And that's our plan this time too, right?
Unless mom gets stuck on a train somewhere. Yeah, that's the plan.
That's right, because we are going to be flying in from 2 different airports again.
So everyone just start saying your prayers now. How about that?
Yeah, because a train to Texas takes a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
I've done it before. It takes 2.5 days.
By the time you get there, nationals is going to be over. So we don't have time for that, Mom.
We don't. But it was a beautiful train ride.
So let's just get right into the great weekend of meets. Oh my gosh. Like we all as gymnastics fans were so lucky with this past weekend of meets. I don't think it could have gone any better.
We've actually been lucky with a season of meets.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just been a really competitive, really good gymnastics season.
So the first meet I watched was Big 12s, which I mean, going into it, I kind of thought Oklahoma's going to win, whatever. Yeah. But I actually came in one rotation late. So I came in on the second rotation and Denver was beating Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. You know what I find interesting about this whole conversation, Chelsea, is you just like took off and said what I watched and what I did.
Okay, Mom. You want to guide this conversation?
I don't. I just think it's what we watched. So even though we weren't together, I also watched that meet.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Oh.
And let's see, which rotation did I come in at? I think I watched the whole meet versus coming in at a second rotation, actually.
Okay. Mom is feeling some type of way clearly today, guys.
I just think that you kind of dissed me like automatically.
Okay. So from the first rotation, Mom, what were some of your highlights since I missed it?
Who were the teams again?
See, this is what happens. I take over because I know like you were just still trying to get all your marbles together.
I think I actually missed the first rotation now that I think about it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, your hosting card is revoked. Back to me. You're already interrupting the flow of this episode.
It probably should be revoked. Okay, until we get to LSU, I can tell you exactly what happened then. But we got a couple of regions to get through before we get there.
Yeah, okay. So back to what I was saying. After the first rotation, Denver was beating Oklahoma. And for me, just jumping in, I was like, huh?
You were like, what?
Huh? Because vault is one of Oklahoma's stronger events. They do 10-0 vaults.
That's right. They're the team that has all 10-0 vaults.
Yeah. So I was curious to see if A, Denver could stay in the lead, or if B, Oklahoma could just dominate the rest of the competition.
Yeah, just be Oklahoma.
Yeah. And I would say that Oklahoma struggled this meet, surprisingly.
They did.
Bars was pretty spot on. And I think that's when I started to realize how Denver was beating Oklahoma in the first rotation. The bar scores were just like kind of through the roof.
Yeah.
And both Denver and Oklahoma benefited from that situation.
Yeah.
And the vault scores were actually kind of low, in my opinion, for every team.
Yeah. I agree. And I also think for us, part of this whole thing was we've been wanting to watch Denver because we'd been hearing and reading about Denver. But in this particular case, it was Denver against Oklahoma. So we really got the chance to better understand who Denver is as a team.
Yeah.
Now, what you just said was true. Oklahoma was not anywhere near their best.
No, not at all. Oklahoma got back on track after the third rotation. And at this point, they had a pretty hefty lead, I guess you could say. And Denver went to vault. Oklahoma finished out on floor. And I knew that the vault scores were kind of low. So I kind of figured, okay, it's Oklahoma's meet. And then
I know
things just kind of started to unravel. And I completely was not expecting it.
They did.
So I think the commentators said that they could count 2 falls and still be okay.
Yeah, and she was like so comfortable with that. She's like, Oklahoma's so far ahead, they literally can have at least 2 falls and still have cushion, I think is the word she used.
Yeah, and then I was thinking, like, if I remember correctly, they're not that far ahead to count 2 falls.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. I just assumed that she was correct.
Right. And then you think, okay, well, they're on floor. It's fine. They'll be fine. And then the first person fell.
I know.
And then meanwhile on vault, Maddie Carr is like drilling a Yurchenko 1.5. That totally deserved a 10. It was so beautiful. And then like you start to see the scores get closer. And then they come up with a new update saying, oh, we got new calculations. Like, we're actually a lot closer than we thought it was.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so you guys have kind of screwed me up twice here. First, you told me they had lots of cushion, and now you can't do math.
Yeah, so what's really going on here?
You're kind of messing this up for me.
But then I was like, okay, well, like, Jade's up. She does, like, an amazing routine. It's good. And then first pass, I think she got lost in the air and ended up only doing a Rudy.
Yeah.
And then like literally when I saw that happen, my jaw dropped.
Yeah.
Like that is it. And then Lindsey Brown goes and does another beautiful Yurchenko 1.5.
995 score. But for me, you still had 2 Oklahoma gymnasts left on floor, you know, even though vault was over. And one of those was Brenna. And she was like game face on.
Yeah.
So I was still feeling pretty good at that point for Oklahoma.
Yeah. So Brenna did amazing. Olivia got a 9975.
I was nervous about Olivia just because she was a freshman.
I wasn't really because she's been killing it all year. So Oklahoma ended up winning. But I think Denver should really feel good about themselves, especially going into nationals after that meet. Because it shows that they really are a contender. Denver, keep on plugging along. I actually tweeted, all I have to say is watch out for Denver at nationals. And that was one of my most liked tweets of the weekend because I think the whole Gymternet is behind Denver in this moment.
I agree.
So moving on to Big Tens. There were so many teams in Big Tens, like I can't even keep track. But it was a great meet. Michigan ended up winning again. Like it's kind of expected at this point. One highlight that I want to talk about from Big Tens was Mary Jane Otto, 6th-year gymnast, won the Big Ten bars title. Yay. And I remember watching her routine. It was so pretty. And I actually remember watching Mary Jane back when Illinois was at regionals at West Virginia. And I remember watching her routine just like in awe because one, she is really tall for a gymnast. Mm-hmm. So her lines are beautiful. But two, she has so much power behind the swing on bars. So her routine is just gorgeous. And her bars routine was the best of the weekend at Big Tens. So congrats to her.
And what was her score, Chels?
9975.
Wow.
Also, Illinois finished second, which I think was kind of unexpected. I know that they have had a lot of injuries this season. So for them to be able to finish second is really, really great for them. So congratulations to Illinois.
Yeah, Chelsea, I just want to do a shout out for Lexi Ramler from Minnesota. Again, I hadn't watched her compete before. So it was really a pleasure watching her compete. She's an all-arounder. I'm just going to go through her scores. She got a 9.85 on vault, 9.925 on bars, 9.925 on beam, and a 9.9 on floor for an all-around score of 39.6.
Yeah.
And that's not unusual for her. When you look back at her scores, when she competed against Maryland, she got a 39.7 all-around score. So very, very talented, very enjoyable to watch. And so I really had a good time watching Minnesota and watching Lexi.
Yeah. I hope Minnesota makes it to nationals just so Kathy Johnson Clark can commentate on Lexi and her beautiful lines and her toe point on floor and her arms and her presentation. Cause like Lexi is Kathy Johnson Clark's ideal gymnast.
She's beautiful, Chelsea.
She is. Another conference that I want to talk about before we get into the SEC and Pac-12 is the MIC conference. Lindenwood and UIC actually tied for the title, which is insane. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword here. Lindenwood actually beat out UIC for the regional spot, which is actually only the third time that a Division II team has qualified to regionals, which is huge for them, especially since I think this is only like their 7th year as a gymnastics program at Lindenwood. But the downside for that is that UIC actually did not qualify to regionals. And since their program is being cut at the end of this season, their last meet will be at USAG Nationals in April, which is kind of sad.
Yeah, that is sad.
So hopefully they'll do great at USAG Nationals. Clearly, it's going to be a great meet with Bridgeport, Lindenwood, and UIC all fighting for the title.
Yeah.
I mean, how much of like a storybook ending would it be for UIC to win nationals? I mean, I guess that's not really a storybook ending because like that's like the last time they'll compete ever as a team. But I mean, I think it just proves to like the athletic department that, hey, you shouldn't have cut our team.
Right. I hate that it has to be that drastic, but at the end of the day, that's exactly what it means.
So good luck to Lindenwood at regionals and congrats for tying for the MIC conference title. So now, Mom, are you ready?
I am. I'm ready for the SEC. Can we start by talking about Lexi Graber from Alabama?
Sure.
Did you watch Lexi? I mean, again, I love the fact that this allowed me to watch gymnasts that I just never had the chance to watch and just didn't understand how great they are.
Yeah, Lexi has been amazing for Alabama ever since she came in as a freshman last year. She's another one of those gymnasts where she's like a straight up competitor. Like she does not care. She's going to do the best she can because she wants to win.
Yeah. And so again, just real quickly, the scores that she got this weekend, 9.9 on vault, 9.875 on bars, 9.95 on beam, and 9.925 on floor for an all around of 39.65. And so that was her highest that she scored this year. And as you said, as a sophomore, that means she's got lots of good stuff she's going to be doing for Alabama.
Yeah. And this was Alabama's highest score of the season. And what we talked about last episode, that Alabama peaks whenever they need to peak.
That's
when
what
it
she
most
said.
counts.
They were awesome this weekend. They really were.
And like, I don't know why we're surprised as viewers. Maybe you guys aren't surprised, but this happens year after year. Alabama will be very slow to start, but whenever they need to be great at the end of season, they're ready. So the first session of SECs, Alabama set the tone really for that session. And then the evening came and I actually started to get like, I wasn't nervous. I was just like excited, anxious.
Yeah, you did. I remember, I think you texted me about that The thing that I found, and I know we'll talk about the individual teams in a minute, but the thing that I found as a group, there was such a difference between watching the early session and watching the late session. Did you notice that? I mean, it just really felt like two different divisions versus the same division.
Totally. LSU fans came in hot and ready.
What started it is Sarah Finnegan went first on vault and Alicia went first on bars. And that just was like game on. It started everything.
Yeah, it was literally like so much to take in because LSU just started popping out vaults, and then Florida's over on bars just doing routines. Like, I could not keep up.
No. And don't forget, there were still Kentucky and Georgia out there doing their thing.
I don't know how Georgia was able to concentrate on beam because I can only imagine how loud it was in that arena.
Right. It was because LSU brought all of their fans.
They brought the whole state of Louisiana to the Smoothie Arena.
They really did. They just like transferred from the PMAC to the Smoothie Center. And it was like, okay, we're here.
Yeah. I kind of wish I was there just because I know the environment is like no other.
Yeah. And I just wish I was there because it was just amazing gymnastics.
Yeah.
But I also think when we talk about those who peaked early, I think Florida could be in that camp too.
I've actually been thinking about this too ever since the meet. I don't think they've peaked early. I think really what the main difference was between Florida and LSU during the meet was that LSU has experience. The majority of the gymnasts competing on Florida are underclassmen. So they just don't have that experience like LSU does.
Well, when you say that, we're talking about like 1 year, right? Because when you're talking about Christine Desiderio and Sam Durante and Sarah Edwards, they're just 1 year. I mean, we're talking about sophomores. So it's
okay, but the difference again is that LSU had all of those people behind them, where the Florida gymnasts, all of those people were rooting against them in the arena.
Yeah. So two things. It's the experience, and it's the experience in front of like fans that are screaming as loud as they're screaming. So both of those together were very intimidating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Although I have to say, I really do love watching the Florida freshmen.
I do too.
The fact that we're going to get to watch them for 4 years, I think is just amazing. I mean, watching Savannah, I know I'm jumping because that's what I do, but watching Savannah on bars.
Yeah, she had a really pretty routine.
Oh my gosh, her form is to die for on bars. And then watching Trinity on everything. I don't know if I enjoy watching Trinity as much as I love listening to Kathy Johnson-Clark talk about Trinity.
Yeah. It's so true.
She's like, watch this. Now watch this. Now, okay, watch what's coming next.
But going back at the end of the second rotation, Florida killed it on beam. Absolutely killed it on beam. And LSU did very well on bars too.
Yes.
And at this point, I kind of thought Florida may take it away from here.
I did not think that, only because I knew Florida had vault last.
I wasn't really considering it, but the way that Florida had been performing the first two events, I knew it was going to be really hard for LSU to take over.
Yeah, and LSU still had beam left.
Yeah.
That's what was making me nervous. Beam always makes me nervous, though.
And then going into the third rotation, Florida was on floor, LSU was on beam, and they started with Megan Skaggs on floor. And she kind of had a misstep on her middle pass.
Not a big misstep.
She managed to stay on her feet somehow. But really, ever since that mistake, it kind of just
flipped.
Yeah, flipped Florida.
It did.
And LSU was on beam just plugging away.
Yeah, they were. They really were. And then we went to the fourth rotation. And at that point, Florida is on vault, which isn't their best. And LSU's on floor.
Which I wouldn't consider their best either.
I was getting the same thing. I wouldn't consider it their best, but they did put Lexi in. Kennedy hit, Lexi hit, I mean, it was a good floor. And then, of course, can I say it? Can I just
Mom's
say?
been waiting. Well, let me just read a tweet that we got. So we got a tweet from at MDLC19, and he said, "Oh, I can't wait to hear your mom on Thursday about LSU gymnastics." So what was the highlight on floor, Mom?
Oh my gosh, the highlight. And it's not just my highlight. There's no doubt in my mind. This is the world's highlight. Everybody has to feel the way that I feel. I know Kathy Johnson-Clark does.
No, yeah. Kathy loves Sarah, man.
Oh my gosh. Sarah Finnegan did this unbelievable floor routine. And her floor routines are always gorgeous, obviously. But this one, it was just a cut above.
It meant more.
It did. It was so gorgeous. And you've got 4 judges at this point.
Yeah.
And she gets a 10.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I was like screaming at the TV.
And, you know, and it was so great to watch her reaction because, you know, I think she's used to not getting the 10. And so she's like, you know, gets off the floor and is going to, you know, do some stuff. And then they tell her to take a look up and she sees the 10 and just the look on her face.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like that just like makes your heart like, oh, I think LSU on their Twitter, they have a GIF of her face whenever she found out she got the 10. It's literally like the cutest thing ever.
It is. It's like she's surprised.
Yeah. Like, oh my gosh, I got a 10.
I think the other thing that was great is they interviewed Coach Didi and Sarah, Kathy and Bart did after the meet. And it did my heart well because Kathy kind of fangirled with Sarah like I do when I interviewed Sarah, where she said something along the lines of, "What do you say when people say that you're just so gorgeous out there?" or something like that. Like, which is one of those questions that I asked her like twice.
Yeah.
And the last time I asked, Chelsea's like, "Mom, you've got to stop asking her those questions because she's going to think you're weird."
Because imagine someone asking you, like, why are you so good at what you do? Like, how do you answer that? Like, I don't know.
Well, and that's what happened to Kathy, right? The same thing happened to her where Sarah looks at you like, "What are you asking me? And what do you want me to say?" But she gave Kathy the same answer she gave me, which was, "I've been doing this since I was little. It was just how I was trained."
Yeah, that was a really good interview.
It was.
But I would say that was a fantastic meet. But again, don't count out Florida. It's not that they had a bad meet by any means. They just couldn't put it all together on that night. But you better believe, come nationals, they are going to be fighting. I mean, again, I just don't know how nationals is going to be this year. It's just going to be unbelievable.
Well, and I do think it's what you have said, which is Florida's freshmen, it makes a difference. So even though they've got so much talent, they don't have the experience. So even Trinity, you can see her, who's just, you know, incredibly talented and beautiful. She's still trying to figure out college gymnastics.
Right.
You know?
And it's like that saying, you can't teach experience.
Right.
You just got to go through it.
Exactly. So that I think will make the difference. I think it's just going to be amazing to watch these big teams compete against each other at nationals. Jason Fredericks has always said this, you know, when we expand it to beyond the same old teams, that's when it gets interesting. And he's right.
And as we'll talk about a little bit later, the regional assignments, there may be some off the wall teams at nationals this year by the way that regional assignments has worked out. Do you have anything else to say about SECs?
It was just an amazing way to end the night. I mean, I know that Pac-12 continued after that, but I just turned the TV off after.
You got everything you needed to watch.
I did. I just kind of celebrated in the glory of Sarah Finnegan getting a 10 on floor.
What was interesting actually was that the Pac-12 second session and the SEC second session actually started at the same time. But by the time SEC's was over, Pac-12 was only like halfway through.
Okay.
So I was able to watch the end of the Pac-12 meet because Pac-12 actually goes one routine at a time.
Wow, it's a long night.
Super long. And the environment is so different. And I understand that people like both of them for different reasons. But like after SCCs, I feel like I could just like run a marathon.
It's absolutely true. You are so exhausted by the time it's over. And they do, the ESPN does the main broadcasts, and then they've got all the individual events as well. So you literally, if you had 5 televisions or 5 monitors, you could watch like 5 sessions going on at one time.
Yeah.
And so for me, I had LSU on my phone. I had Kathy and Bart and the all around on my computer. And so sometimes they would show LSU, but it's delayed versus what's on my phone. So I'd have to decide, do I want to, which one? So it's just like you said, it was just like cray land for me. It really was.
So Pac-12s, UCLA freaking killed it. They got a 198.4.
And that's with 4 judges.
They did so well this weekend. And Utah got a 198 as well. So it wasn't like UCLA was like, okay, yeah, they were kind of like on unspeakable levels, but Utah was right there behind them. And Kyla got another 10. So this is now her 8th week in a row getting a 10.
And what event did she get it on this time?
Oh, she got 2. Sorry, my mistake. She got 1 on bars and she got 1 on floor.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah. I know. I'm so happy for Kyla. UCLA won Pac-12s. Oh, and Michaela got her 10.
Yay, Michaela. This is on floor, I'm guessing?
Yes. And it wasn't her best floor routine of the season by far, but I'm just happy she got a 10 because she deserved a 10 so many times this year.
It's so true, Chelsea. It's so true.
And her reaction, and I know a lot of people aren't fans of Michaela, but whenever you saw her reaction after she got the 10, you can't not be a fan of her. You can just tell how much
it meant to her.
Yeah, the sport means to her and how hard she works every day.
Absolutely. And the thing is, getting a 10 during season is great, but getting a 10 at conference championships where you have 4 judges, it's something totally different.
Totally, totally different. So congrats to Michaela. Congrats to UCLA.
Congrats to Kyla.
Congrats to Kyla. Keep killing it. Kate also got a 10.
On her new floor routine.
Yes, she changed her floor routine. So now there's no more MJ.
Well, and how many people can get a brand new floor routine and the first time they perform it, get a 10? Right? And before we leave conference championships and talking about UCLA, we got a voicemail from Erky.
Hey, Routine Podcast. This is Erky, your resident UCLA fan. I just wanted to leave a voicemail. It's been a while. Kind of just my reaction to the Pac-12s. Utah and UCLA, watching that was seriously like watching a heavyweight championship boxing match where the 2 titans of the sport, or at least of the conference, were kind of slugging it out. Matching each other blow for blow. Utah took the lead at the beginning. UCLA took it back. After 3, they were separated by, 5/100ths of a point. And then UCLA kind of finally pulled it out with an insane floor rotation. But, the great thing was, Utah ended on vault, their best event. UCLA ended on floor, their best event. Both scores in the 198s. I mean, nationals are going to be pretty crazy. I'm kind of thinking that the Final Four, or whatever they're going to call it, it's going to be, the Bruins, the Sooners, probably the Tigers and the Gators, but Utah and even Denver having very real chances to sneak in there to make it to the last 4. They're probably going to have to score like 197.8 or better in the first round to make it, but looking forward to it. Anyway, go Bruins.
Thanks, Erky, for leaving us a voicemail. We always love it.
I think we've talked enough about conference championships. This past weekend was so overwhelming with gymnastics, but
It was overwhelming with great gymnastics.
Yeah. We couldn't have asked for a better weekend.
No.
We're all #blessed.
We are. And we've still got really more good stuff coming.
Yeah. So actually, earlier this week, regional assignments were determined. And this is, again, the new format, which we'll probably talk about in more detail next week so that everybody can be on the same page and so that Mom and I can understand it a little bit better. So the regional assignments at the University of Michigan, the teams that will be competing there in the first round is Illinois and Central Michigan University. And the first session on Friday is Michigan, Alabama, Penn State, Ohio State. The second session is UCLA, Nebraska, West Virginia, and the winner of round 1. The second regional is at Georgia. Round 1 is University of New Hampshire and Iowa State University. The first session on Friday is Georgia, Kentucky, Missouri, and NC State. And the second session is Oklahoma, Cal, University of Maryland, and the winner from the first round. The third regional is at LSU. And the first round is between George Washington and Lindenwood. And then session 1 on Friday is Utah, Minnesota, BYU, and Arkansas. And then the second session is LSU, Auburn, Arizona State University, and the winner from round 1. And then the last regional at Oregon State is round 1, Iowa and Arizona. And then round 2, session 1 is Denver, Boise, Washington, Southern Utah University. And session 2, Florida, Oregon State, Stanford, and the winner from the first round. Wow. So that is like a whole bunch of humble jumble, I know.
No, I got it. And I was paying attention too.
So right now, I would say the regionals that we should look out for, one is the one at Michigan.
Yeah. Well, I think all of them we should be on the lookout for and hope that everybody has their best gymnastics. Because if not, it's really going to break some hearts.
Yeah, if you don't finish in the top 2, your season's over.
Yeah, I know.
Which is crazy.
It really is crazy. But I think it'd be interesting to watch this new format.
I think so too. I also think the other kind of sleeper regional is the one at LSU. I feel like the first session with Utah, Minnesota, like that could be kind of close, but also with LSU and Auburn. Auburn has beaten LSU earlier this year, but Auburn also isn't at their best. So it's going to be really interesting, and it's going to be a long weekend of meets. Again, we'll talk about this in more detail next week, but I feel like we have talked you all's heads off.
We have, but it was good stuff this week.
It was. There was a lot to catch up on. So next episode, it's the most wonderful time of the year. We're doing fan favorites next episode.
Got it. Oh, this is going to be hard.
Head on over to our Twitter if you all want to vote in our polls, or if you don't have a Twitter, feel free to email us with what your favorite routines are of the season. We're going to be doing each event.
Are you going to do like you did last year where you give us kind of top 3 or 4, but you can pick somebody else?
Yeah. So on the polls, I'll list some fan favorites off of the top of my head, but I'll also say comment below if you don't see your favorite listed. So feel free to comment, email us, maybe even leave us a voicemail about someone who really tickled your heart this season with their routine. But yeah, it's all fun and games. We're not like pinning anybody down or anything. It's just what routines, A, really stuck out to you, or B, just you think really deserve a lot of recognition.
Yep. And you only get 1 vote, Chels, 1 vote per event?
1 vote per event, and make it count.
1 vote per event per person.
Yeah. So we really look forward to sharing the results with you all next week. So stay tuned for that.
And you and I get to vote too, right?
We do get to vote, but I feel like we already know who you're going to vote for.
No, you don't. Not for all 4 events. You do not.
You only get 1 vote, So you can't say Alicia and Sarah.
Well, as co-host of this show, I think I should get as many votes as I want.
No.
All right, I'll think about it. I got some time. I'll think about it.
So if you all are liking what you are hearing, be sure to rate us on the Apple Podcast app. Give us 5 stars. Also, be sure to leave us a review and be sure to subscribe so that you never miss an episode. And if you want to continue the conversation with us, be sure to tweet us at Routine Podcast. You can also leave us an email at info@theroutinepodcast.com, or you can leave us a voicemail on our website, theroutinepodcast.com.
And I think this is the perfect time to leave a voicemail when we're talking about our fan favorites, because we'd love to hear your voice giving us your list of favorites versus just reading your tweet. So at Dave Pendries, Maria, anybody who wants to leave us a voicemail, who wants to leave us a voicemail and just kind of run through your 4 fan favorites, that would be
Gymnalysis.
That'd be lots of fun to hear. And you do that by going to the website. At the top of the page, you'll see Be a Part of the Conversation. You click that. Scroll to the bottom, you'll see a microphone. Click the microphone and leave us a voicemail message.
Carrie Bear. I could keep going if you really want me to.
I'd love it.
Renee from Australia.
Wouldn't we love to hear her accent?
Ooh, that would be really cool.
I'd love to hear from everybody.
So we look forward to speaking with you all next week. And we hope you will enjoy this week off from gymnastics. Get some fresh air, take a walk, get some exercise in. And we'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.